what was your reaction, JJ, to James Harden, the bad guy, so to speak, actually getting his way? Because I knew that he was going to get traded, but for Daryl Morey to send him where he wanted to go after violating and disrespecting Daryl Morey was just insane to me. Like, really got to talk to the bosses about that. But what was your reaction to James Harden going to the Clippers?
Well, number one, I wasn't surprised that he got traded to the team he wanted, because I think if he gets traded to another team, he's not interested. He's not going to play. We've already seen that. He got his way with Brooklyn. He got his way with Philly. He got his way with the Clippers. I don't think the Sixers really had a choice, because there was really no teams that were, after hearing that he wanted to go to the Clippers, there was really no team that was interested in Harden. I do actually like James Harden in the regular season. I think he'll be good for the Clippers. I don't know how they'll run that lineup. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they have Harden and Harden starting and Westbrook coming off the bench. But we can get into that a little later. But I do think that really Daryl Morey had no choice. I mean, he had to trade him to the team he wanted, because no team was willing to trade for him, because he already had mentioned he was going to play for the Clippers and nobody else. So wasn't surprised. And I don't think Morey really had a choice of where to trade him, because he wanted to go to the Clippers, and that was it.
But see, that's the thing with me. When I look at it from Daryl Morey didn't have a choice, I'm looking at it from the package that he received. Like, I feel like Philadelphia won in this trade. Not that they got a specific player that equals the value of James Harden, but you were able to get him off your books. You were able to clear that type of energy from the locker room. You got some draft picks from LA. And you got a couple glue guys and guys like Covington and stuff like that, that could play a role for this season. But when it comes to Philadelphia, bro, even if this stuff would have never happened with James Harden, I really feel like they wouldn't have had a chance to win a championship anyway. I think Philly is really in rebuild mode. They just don't want to really admit to it, because coming down the pipeline, you better believe, even though they starting off pretty well, I think they like 4-1 so far this season. But I promise you, JJ, Joel Embiid is going to demand a trade before I project maybe before Christmas. I'm not sold that Philly is going to be successful overall now that James Harden is gone. And I think they're playing well now because it's a breath of fresh air. You got a new energy. So it's going well now. But, I think Philly got a whole bunch of problems coming down the pipeline. As far as James Harden, I think the thing that surprised me the most, JJ, is that guys like Damian Lillard, who was so loyal to Portland, he didn't get to go where he asked to be traded to. But you got a guy in James Harden who was disrespectful, still got to go where he wanted to. But I think it's partially because of the package that the Clippers had for Philly. It was just the best one available. So I don't know, man. But I don't feel like James Harden in LA is going to be a big deal. Do you think that team could win a championship?
Well, I mean, I am a little biased. I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, but I think right now, if the Clippers can just stay healthy, which is a big if, they've been injured the last 4 years, basically since that team was assembled. But if you remember, I guess it'd be 3 years now, in 2020/2021, they made the conference finals. Kawhi got hurt, and then of course they lost the Suns in 6 games. But again, if that team has shown us if they can stay healthy, they can go far. Now, again, that's a big if. But I think what the Clippers are wanting to do is James Harden is better in the regular season. We know that. I think what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to go full James Harden in the regular season. And when it gets to the postseason, then they can rely more on Kawhi. They can rely more on PG. Again, I don't know what they're going to do if they're going to start both Harden and Westbrook. I don't know if that would be a good idea, because we saw in Houston that didn't work out great. But I could see them starting Harden and having Westbrook come off the bench. But then you also have to look at, does Westbrook want to come off the bench?
Their projected starting five is Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and what's his name? Ivan Zerbiak or Zubac, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their projected starting five.
Yeah. I think what they would be better. And of course, I don't know if they're probably going to do what you just mentioned. They're going to start both Harden and Westbrook. I think if the Clippers want to have success, they should start Harden at the 1. They'll probably put PG at the 2, Kawhi at the 3. Terrence Mann, once he comes back healthy, he'd be the 4. And then Zubac at the 5. I could see them, and then having Westbrook, Norman Powell, Mason Plumlee, those guys come off the bench. But it does seem like they're going to start Westbrook, and I think they'd have more success if they started Harden and had Westbrook come off the bench. But we'll see what they do. But I do think if they can stay healthy, which is a big if, this team can go pretty far. But as we saw on Wednesday night between the Lakers and Clippers, that was a pretty good game, and I think we could be seeing that at least 3 more times this year. And I'd love to see these two teams in the postseason because we just haven't got that, unfortunately.
Did you see my man LeBron? Did you see my
Played
man
well.
LeBron James? Man, bro. I mean, you got Kawhi Leonard who had a good game. You got Paul George who had a good game that night. You got Anthony Davis who had a good game that night. And LeBron James at 39 years old in year 21 was the best player on the floor. I am just so overly impressed with LeBron. But I do got a couple questions for you about what you said about James Harden and the Clippers. Now, you said they should focus on letting James Harden off the leash for the regular season. Now, when you say that, are you talking scoring or facilitating?
I'm talking about more of scoring. Now,
Okay.
before we saw last year when he was facilitating, he led the league in assists at he almost averaged 11 assists per game last season. He
Yep.
played well. And then, of course, in the second half of the year in the postseason, they struggled and they got beat by Boston. But I think if you let Harden cook and get him in the regular season, this Clippers team can probably get to the 3 or 4 seed because I don't know if anybody's better than Denver right now. They could get to like maybe the 3 seed and then have Kawhi and Paul George and even Russ come back in the postseason. Now, Russ was pretty good last year, but it was more of his defense that really helped the Clippers at least win a game last year against the Suns. But if you let Harden score, do his thing in the regular season, and then give it up to Kawhi and PG and have them do their thing in the postseason. So
I like if this was a video game, if this was 2K, I would be scared. As a Lakers fan, I would be concerned. I would have cause to pause, but this is real life. And I'm looking at a basketball team that has 4 ball dominant guys. None of these guys at my soul can play off the ball for a substantial amount of time. You have some of the most toxic personalities with Russell Westbrook and James Harden and the emotion of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard with this whole load management thing. Like, can Ty Lue really be able to control this? You know, people act like Ty Lue is such a proven great coach. Like, you got to remember, LeBron James quarterback the success of Ty Lue. Let's be honest. He didn't have to deal with these types of personalities in Cleveland that he has to deal right now under the bright lights of Los Angeles. It's do or die. And all of those guys, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, all the free agents in the summer. All free agents this summer. So it's literally do or die right now for the Clippers. And I just don't see at all how in the hell this is going to work, bro. It's just too many ball dominant guys. It's just this doesn't make sense to me, bro. It really doesn't. But
yeah. Now, yeah, in history, it has shown that this probably won't work. But with this whole situation with Harden, with Kawhi, with PG, with Westbrook, it's either going to go really good or it's going to go really bad. And
really bad.
I think the Clippers really had no choice because this is, as you mentioned, Kawhi is a free agent if he opts out. I think PG is also a free agent. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Westbrook's also has a player option because I think it was a 2-year deal he signed, but
All 4 of them. All 4 of them could possibly be gone this summer.
So it's either do or die, as you mentioned. I think it's going to either go really good and really bad. And the Clippers were like, you know what? We're just going to try something and see if it works. And if not, now they're in that new arena next year, which should be interesting, but we'll see what happens. It's either going to go really good or it's going to go really bad.